Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry episode 5. We're currently in the purple zone because, well, I mean, we tend to, jump in here for little intermissions here and there, but I think what we're currently talking about is why Battler was always the last one to die. Or as we saw in episode 4, he kinda didn't really die. I think he went missing. Episode 4 was weird, but he is always there at the very end. And it does make you wonder about Beatrice's actions. So we're sort of talking about that. But what also went down in the previous video was people arguing, as we expected, over the gold. Oh, okay, well there we go. We took care of that one, didn't we? That helps too. No, it doesn't. But you do have to wonder, why does Battler need to witness all of these things? He's obviously our protagonist. He's the character that we have followed through the bulk of this story, of everything with Umineko. But why is he always there? What's the significance between him and Beatrice? Every time Beato brags that she'll choose whom to kill next with a roulette. However, I'm the only one she never kills. Though she does kill me in the end, she leaves me be until the very last moment. In all of these supposedly random games, there's only this one unchanging constant. I mean, there's the obvious looming questions from episode 4 in regards to Battler, his mother, and Beatrice. There are some serious questions to be had here. I mean, at the end of the day, she's actually... all of these games are to try and convince him that there's absolutely no way these things could have been done by human hands. This is all done by witches, magic, demons, whatever.
X equal Y equal 0だがその無意味をこいつは明白に俺に対して見せつけている無意味なことと同価値の何を俺に求めているんだわからねえ考えれば考えるほどにこいつが何を考えてるのか俺にはわからねえ
Beatrice, the fickle witch who committed a meaningless, worthless string of serial murders. Even the epitaph's riddle, which that witch had used as the trigger that could suspend the serial murders, is meaningless, immaterial. And yet she's thrusting this meaningless, immaterial thing in front of my face. What is it that you want from me? Or else, what is it that you're giving me? My idea that Beato has clearly been taking revenge on me has already been denied by Virgilia's Red Truth. Both X and Y. Both the epitaph murders and the epitaph's riddle hold no meaning for Beatrice. X equals Y equals 0. However, since she's thrusting those things in front of me, they must have some meaning. She showed us the scales representing if you don't solve the epitaph, I'll carry out the epitaph murders. In other words, neither the epitaph murders nor the epitaph's riddle have any significance by themselves. However, it becomes meaningful when she puts both halves on the scale and puts them on display before us. No, before me. In other words, it should be like this. X equals 0. Y equals 0. X plus Y is greater than 0? A scale with meaningless, weightless things on both sides. However, it has weight itself and gives the rest meaning.
子供のじゃんけんみたいだ
Rock, paper, scissors is an extremely familiar method of randomly determining a winner and loser. You sometimes wager some sort of reward on the outcome, but the kids often do rock, paper, scissors just to play without betting anything in particular. Unless you bet something, you have nothing to gain or lose except happiness and frustration. In other words, the two sides of the scale, both winning and losing, are immaterial. However, the very act of seeing which way it will tip is the reason kids play rock, paper, scissors. After all, the kids are enjoying the communication that surrounds the game, and they aren't purely interested in the value of winning or losing. They aren't overly concerned about who wins and who loses.
それじゃベアトにとって非分殺人は成功してもしなくてもいいものってことになっちまう。まるでその過程そのものを楽しんでいるかのようにさえ。以前の俺なら無意味な殺人を繰り返す非道な魔女だと決めつけこう言ったが、今の俺にはそうとは思えない。
I mean, there's more to it, but obviously Battler's involved.
ありがとう。だから赤をもう一つ与えましょう。ベアトは快楽目的で殺人を行っていることはありません。
So there is reason, not for the, wacky reason of there being for pleasure. There is something that she's hoping will come out of the murders that she commits for Battler. She didn't do it for pleasure, and she didn't do it to make anyone feel fear. Since she has nothing to gain, she doesn't care, she doesn't care whether the epitaph murders succeed or fail. It's almost like a random game kids would play.
違う。意味があるんだ。こいつには。
意味とは何ですか？
わからない。天秤の両端は無価値で。こいつにとってこの天秤はしっかりと重みあるものなんだ。
Of course it isn't meaningless. Some meaning definitely exists. In the previous game, she urged me to remember my sin of 6 years ago. Am I supposed to believe that was meaningless too? No. That definitely isn't the case. I clearly remembered that the serious gaze that Beato had back then. Unfortunately, I didn't have a clue what she meant. When she saw that, she was horribly dejected. And that's right. At that time, I'm sure she even went so far as to say that the crime wouldn't have occurred if I hadn't come.
意味はあるんだ。
It's like after the 4 games, or, in the middle of the 4th, you would think that Battler, at least on the outside of the game board, would be able to piece something together, if not within the game board. Or maybe she had hope that, just out of the blue, with everything going on, that he would actually know what she was wanting him to know. But even I don't even know. What could be the connection here, What could be connecting these murders? The idea of Beatrice herself and Battler's supposed sin, whatever had to do with his mother, something from 6 years ago.
こいつにとっては意味が。そしてそれを俺に求めてる。
I laughed softly and poked Beato lightly on the head, and then patted her head.
ラブレターには次からは好きですと短く書くことを勧めるぜ。あまり回りくどくて難解だと意味が伝わらねえぞ。こいつが何を考えてるのか。だが俺は考えることをやめないぜ。まだまだチェス盤をひっくり返せ。お前の思考をたどる旅を。
I mean, sooner or later we'll get to the bottom of whatever it is that she actually wanted us to be figuring out here. What she was hoping we knew deep down, if pushed to that point. Or whatever, Alright, it's almost midnight, almost time for Twilight number 1. And 2. And 3. Battler did nothing but gaze blankly out the window. The fighting between the relatives went on without end. Well, I guess nobody can die until people go to sleep, right? That seems to be a pretty consistent thing. At first, the relatives had crowded around the study. However, no matter how much they knocked, the master of the study did not answer even once. Eva and several others said that they should open the door with the second key, the one that Genji held. However, in a flash of brilliance, Natsuhi said that Kinzo had been in a particularly bad mood, and had taken back the key he had previously given Genji, which meant that he now had both keys himself. She claimed that this was the reason they could not open the door. After she promised to let them meet Kinzo tomorrow morning no matter what, they finally returned to the dining hall. But of course, the argument continued on even there. Ava's group needed a lot of cash very soon, and they were trying to threaten Kraus somehow and make him pay up. Apparently, Battler solving the epitaph threatened Kraus's position as the successor, which gave the others a powerful tailwind. On the other side, Kraus and Natsuhi based their argument on the claim that it had never been specified that ownership of the gold would be handed over to the person who solved the epitaph. It hadn't been hidden gold, but simply Kinzo's stockpile. And it was still Kinzo's property, which meant it would naturally be distributed after Kinzo's death with the rest of the inheritance. Once they made that claim, Ava's group once again started demanding to be allowed to see Kinzo. It had probably been obvious to them from the beginning. This sibling fight could only be settled by Kinzo. And this was obviously a confrontation between Ava's group, which wanted cash fast, and Kraus, who was hiding his lack of funds but still didn't need money right away. As he listened vaguely to this exchange, Battler marveled at how, despite their usual affluent airs, they were surprisingly deep in debt.
それもさっき聞いた話ではないかね。もういい。休止しよう。お互い一度した話を延々と繰り返しているだけだ。
According to the clock, it was almost midnight. It certainly was a perfect time for a break. The atmosphere relaxed just a bit.
同感や。お互い一服するのも悪くないで。ほな以後は議事を取りながらにせんか。言った言わないはもうごめんや。
まったくだわ。下の根も乾かないうちにそんなことは言ってないなんて。平気で言い出す兄さんとの会議に議事録は必須だものね。
文字じゃ書くのも手間だし、インチキだっていくらでもできるわ。
See, if they were able to record all of this, which I don't think the technology was, readily available at the time, it'd be perfect.
そうだね。兄貴。こいつは動くのか。オーディオセットか。
Oh, never mind.
なるほど。それならば議事を手書きせずに済むし、捏造もできんね。互いにとって公平だ。
勝手にいじらないように。当主様の大切な音楽テープですよ。
The dignified tape set had a sense of weight to it that matched this majestic dining hall perfectly. On pleasant Sunday mornings, it would sometimes be used to play famous tapes or records. However, right now, it was the most neutral and impartial conference record keeper around. Rudolph fished randomly around the cassette rack, searching for a blank tape. And every time he found some tape with sophisticated music on it, he would complain about how pompous it was. Was it like mixtapes or some shit? Like, how did he come to, get all of these? How did he record them?
お呼びでしょうか。
休憩することになったの。申し訳ないんだけど、何か飲み物を用意してもらえないかしら。ビスケットみたいなものがあってもいいかもね。
かしこまりました。すぐにご用意いたします。
あと、ごめんなさい。風邪薬あるかしら。さっきから熱っぽくて。
Feverish.
なら無理は良くないな。休みたまえ。
ローザがいいと思うなら好きに休めば。
She actually was, asleep earlier, right? I think.
私ならこの大事な会議中に風邪くらいじゃ休まないけどね。
そうかね。私は遠慮なく休ませてもらうよ。夏日。私たちも少し休まないかね。
はい、あなた。
Sensing that he meant to have a strategy meeting, Natsuhi stood up. Even if that hadn't been the case, she was so desperate to get out of the room even for a moment that she would have taken any excuse. Kraus and Natsuki left the dining hall, and the tension in the room truly relaxed. Well, yeah, I mean, the opposing party is now completely gone.
バトラ君もお疲れ様。最悪の気分でしょ。大人の階段だと思って諦めて。
俺はいつまでここでボサーっとしてりゃいいんすかね。
さあ、バトラ君は私たちのおみこしだからね。眠い？
古典の授業程度には。
今夜はどうせお父さんは現れないでしょう。
Well, he's not going to show up ever.
クラウス兄さんたちが戻ってきたら、バトラ君はもう戻っていいかと提案してみるわ。
よろしく頼むぜ。
A light knock and the faint sound of china clinking together could be heard.
失礼します。
お茶をお持ちいたしました。
Shannon and Kanun had come with a serving cart. The pleasant smell of black tea had the effect of relieving a bit of the tension.
よ、話は聞いてるか？
何のお話でしょうか？
僕たちは何も。
よしなさいルドルフ。教える必要は何もないわ。
僕たちは家具ですから、親族会議のお話には関心ありません。
Oh, this might actually concern you maybe slightly?
そうね。それが賢い返事だわ。
深夜勤なの？大変ね。そういうお役目ですので、ご用命いただけて嬉しいです。
そうかもしれんな。することもなくぼんやり起きてる方がしんどいもんや。わしも下積み時代に倉庫番とかやったことあるんやけどな。ただ起きてるだけでもこれがとにかく辛いんや。戦争直後はな、物資泥棒とかゾロゾロおってな、警察も頼れん時代でとにかく物騒でな。
Yeah, I don't know about any of that, but goddamn do I not miss, like, working through midnight. Hideyoshi was particularly proud of how he had started with nothing and built up assets by illegally diverting goods from the American army. Once the subject came up, Hideyoshi tended to get pretty talkative. The relatives who knew this were greatly relieved to see that a perfect sacrifice had come up.
バレたら一大事や。アメさんは怖いで。
Americandy people.
牛肉食っとるからパワーも桁違いや。捕まったら最後銃殺刑かデスバイハンギングや。わかるか？デスバイハンギング。
Oh, I get it, Hideyoshi.
それでな、
I get it.
わしは思うたんや。肉や、肉や。日本人はもっと肉を食わなあかん。そしてわしは胃袋をつかむ商売を始めなあかんという典型を受けたんや。
それは大変なお仕事ですね。
よしなさいよあなた。戦後生まれにいくら話しても当時の苦労なんか伝わらないわよ。
ん？またわしの悪い癖が出てしもうたな。すまん。
あなたたちもお茶をしていきなさいよ。たまには自分たちがどういう紅茶を入れてるか、その下で学ぶのもいい勉強になると思うわ。
いえ、結構です。お気遣いなく。
少し付き合ってくれよ。大人ばかりで俺も窒息しそうなんだ。
そら、次期当主の
Oh,
バ
there
ト
it
ラ
is.
様のご命令だぞ。
There it
そ
is.
こに座って俺たちとしばらくお茶しろい。それで最近の出来事とか趣味とか、見てるテレビとか、若者の今の流行りとか、そういう話をしやがれ。
Yeah, I don't think these two are like the most regular kids around.
俺たちの勉強になるからな。
明暗ね。ほら、二人とも座って。そして話題に飢えた私たちの生贄になってちょうだい。
そうやな。若い子と話をしよう思たらキャバクラでもいかんとこの年では難しいわ。
いつまでボサッと突っ立ってんのよ。ルドルフが座れと命令したわ。座りなさいよ。私も許可してあげるわ。
After getting Ava's permission, Shannon and Kanun looked at each other and finally obeyed nervously. For a while, the two were pounded by questions and became the relatives' playthings. I don't want to say that, you know, that's what they get paid for or anything like that, but what a fun position they're in. Then, a reserved knocking sound could be heard. All of the servants tended to knock in a similar manner, so no one found it strange. However, Shannon and Kanun turned around with a surprised look on their faces. Who is it? The servants here today included the two of them, Genji, Kumasawa, and Goda. Goda had the midnight shift at the guest house. Kumasawa had gone to bed in a spare room in the guest house. The two of them were right here, so Genji was the only person left. But they knew very well that Genji wouldn't knock like that.
誰だ? 開いてるぜ. 勝手に入れよ.
Rudolph didn't recognize the knock either. When he asked who is it, it became apparent that no one knew whose knock it was. After that, the same knock repeated just once more. Could it be that someone had their hands full and was asking that the door be opened for them? As a slightly odd feeling began to encompass the room, the sound of the large clock in the hall could be heard. It was a sign that October 4th had ended and October 5th had begun. I thought the lights were going to go off there. That would have been pretty crazy. Let's step back in time a bit. At this time, Kraus and Natsuhi were a ways off in a deserted corridor on the second floor. Yeah, not really, especially since Natsuhi promised, "Yep, you're gonna talk with him tomorrow."
はい。明日一日、同じではもはや通用しないでしょう。これ以上を渋れば、エヴァさんたちはお父様を監禁しているなどと主張して、警察に訴える可能性さえあります。もう、これが限界です。
I think one of these two are gonna feign the knock at the door and freak them out slightly. Make it seem like something is going on, and then Kinzo goes missing.
バトラ君が黄金を発見するのが全く想定外でした。
The gold being found at all or existing was probably very unexpected.
あれさえなければ、なんとかうまくやりくりできる筋書きを考えていたのですが。
私がかけるといつもこうだな。いつも想定外のことが起き、絶対確実だった話がおかしくなる。
明日の朝、お父様の部屋が空っぽであるということにします。源氏と口裏を合わせ、早朝に森へ出かけていくのを見たと言わせましょう。
その思想をエヴァたちが素直に受け入れるとは思えん。
Now you gotta sprinkle a little bit more on that.
客も承知です。しかし、もうそれしか手がありません。
そのようなことをすれば、エヴァたちは疑わしいと騒ぎ立てるだろう。エヴァたちは金をせしめるためなら、なりふりなど構うまい。それこそおかしな雑誌とつるんで、私の信用にダメージを与えてくるかもしれない。
ダメージで済むではありませんか。万一にもお父様の秘密を知られたら、それどころでは済みません。
明日一日をギリギリまで粘ってからでも遅くはない。もしも明日を無事に乗り切ることができれば、私たちは何も失うものはないのだ。
You know, just to verify something, Dr. Nanjo is also over at the guest house, right? Like, he didn't come back or anything. He didn't want to be a part of whatever the fuck this was. He probably doesn't even know that the gold had been found. So he's probably definitely just sleeping at the guest house, right?
焦って失踪という切り札を切る必要はない。
彼らがお父様を監禁していると騒ぎ立て、そこに失踪していたと返すのですか。その方がはるかに疑いを招きます。もうお父様にお休みいただきましょう。これ以上は無理です。
落ち着きたまえ。エヴァたちの毒気を浴びすぎて冷静を失っただけだ。あの書斎に入る鍵は2本しかない。そしてその2本はここに。だから誰も入ることなどできん。あの扉は特別性だ。彼らが倉庫からどんな工具を持ってこようともびくともせんよ。
そういう物理的な問題ではありません。
だから焦るな。落ちなんなら君は熱を出したことにして寝込んでいてくれればいい。その間に私が全て乗り切ってみせる。
あなただけに任せられません。私も最後まで戦います。
When Natsuhi could no longer hold back the tears brought on by her fierce emotions, Kraus held her gently. Just how long had it been since the last time she had felt the warmth of her husband's compassion?
頭痛がひどいのだろう。君がそういうシワを眉間に浮かべるときはいつもそうだ。
あなた。
She had come to think that her husband could never guess the way she felt. But at times like this,
失踪という切り札は最後の最後まで待とう。殿下の報道と同じだよ。抜かないうちが花だ。大事なのはいつでも抜けるという心構えではないかね。
I have a feeling that Genji is actually going to be the one to make the move. Somehow or another, he will make Kinzo do his disappearance without Kraus and Natsuhi approving of it in order to make their reactions, in case they actually do get into the study, a little bit more believable.
それは分かっています。
Because Kinzo's corpse is still in there, right? Where is his corpse? It's been more than a year, right?
その切り札を私に預けてくれんかね。もちろん最後の瞬間の責任は全て私が取る。君とジェシカは巻き込まん。
それはどういう意味ですか？
後宮家が滅ぶ時、その瓦礫に潰されるのは私だけで十分だ。台風が過ぎたら離婚届を準備しよう。それに捺印し君に預けておく。内緒で君の名義にしてある財産がある。さらにそれに慰謝料を加えれば君とジェシカは不自由なく暮らせるはずだ。
Wow. I'm very surprised by his selflessness here.
嫌です。私の墓碑に刻むべき名は
It's as if something should be up here. Like he's still planning something.
どうか最後の瞬間までご一緒に。たとえあなたが後宮家最後の当主であろうとも。
Oh shit.
最後までどうか。
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm back. I had to step away there for a moment because my power went out. This was actually the first time that I had a power outage while I was using my computer, let alone recording, so that was a fun little experience. I actually have two UPSs. One is for like my router and shit, but it's like not next to my computer. I'll probably do some rearranging and maybe I'll be able to hook my second monitor up to my to that, but at this time, it's just wisest for me to like back the fuck out and make sure that all my recording stuff is good, which it looked like it, and, you know, stop recording and just shut down the computer. But by the time I did, everything got back up and running. My other monitor popped up and all was totally fine. So I never even shut down. I'm still just running here. I just had to restart my recording and everything and the game. So we're back at it, I think. I hope. So if you heard any noises from my computer, that is why. And I don't separate my computer audio from the game because I'm fucking dumb.
私の墓碑に刻むべき名は後宮夏日です。どうか最後の瞬間までご一緒に。たとえあなたが後宮家最後の当主であろうとも、夏日を最後までどうか当主夫人であなたの妻で。
Kraus's existence was founded solely upon the trust and power of his assets as a financial fixer. If either of those weakened, nothing would remain. If they used the trump card of Kinzo's disappearance, they would lose one of these two essential supports. It was like offering your right arm in exchange for your neck being cut. It was probably better than losing your head, but you still might die from the blood loss. And even on the off chance that you did survive, you'd have to bear a heavy wound that wouldn't heal for the rest of your life. Kraus was prepared even for death. Understanding this, Natsuhi buried her face in Kraus's chest and cried. So how does that, you know, what's going to happen as we approach midnight here? Hello, Genji. The sudden appearance of Genji's voice made Natsuhi jump back and hurriedly wipe the tears from her eyes. Kraus stood in front of Natsuhi, shielding her.
源氏さんか。驚かせないでくれたまえ。何か用かね。
はい。申し訳ございませんが、奥様にご報告が。
私にですか、あなた。
構わんよ。
Kraus left Natsuhi's side, went to a window a short ways off, and gazed at the windy and rainy rose garden. I almost said goes Rarden. Or something like that, I don't know. I regained my composure, let's say. Natsuhi went with Genji to a place a short distance away.
何事ですか?
はい、実はまた奥様
Oh shit. Oh shit, I forgot about this. Pick it up. Pick up the phone. At that moment, a sudden eerie sound surprised her. Wait, so all three are up here, and all the adults in Battler are down there, and everybody else should be in the guest house. So who's knocking at the door? At that moment, a sudden eerie sound surprised her. It was the large clock in the hall announcing midnight.
まさかまたあの男なのですか?
はい、いかがいたしましょう。
Well, it definitely isn't Battler. His voice actor, sure, maybe, but it's not Battler.
要件は何だと言っていますか?
お答えいただけません。奥様と直接お話ししたいとの一点張りでございます。
So even at this time, despite the typhoon going on, the phones still work. Allegedly. Again, a phone call from the man who claimed to be taking revenge for something that happened 19 years ago. 19 years ago. That was just 1 year before Jessica and Battler were born. In Natsuhi's eyes, the gap between 19 years ago and 18 years ago was immense. For a long time, she had been unable to fulfill her role of creating a successor for the Ushiromiya family, and had been treated very coldly. But then she finally gave birth to Jessica, and became able to call herself the Ushiromiya successor's wife with her head held high. So in her eyes, Ushiromiya Natsuhi began 18 years ago. That's why everything before that, including the events of 19 years ago, contained nothing but hateful memories. Such as, and something from the last year of that hateful period is whispering vengeful words from the other end of the phone. I can still hear the roar of the sea.
いかがなさいますか?
Come on, answer it. There we go.
部屋に主人には内密に。
かしこまりました。
From the very beginning, Genji had guessed that she wouldn't want Kraus hearing about this phone call. That's why he had told Natsuhi covertly. Natsuhi ordered that he transfer the call, told Kraus that she would turn in for the night, and left at a quick pace. It's still pretty crazy that they sleep in separate rooms like this. I don't know, I think that's kind of weird. She returned to her room and locked the door. There was nothing peculiar about that. In the Ushiromiya family, hallways are like public roads. There's no special meaning in locking the door when you enter your own room. This is what she told herself. Then, as though it had been waiting for her, the telephone rang. Genji had probably transferred the call. She took a deep breath, readied herself, and picked up the receiver. Again, it started with silence. I was going to say, we're doing the same song and dance here, it sort of seems. She realized that the person at the other end was trying to irritate her and make her feel uncomfortable, and she got angry.
どうして黙っているのですか? 切ります。
切るなよ、母さん。もう少し声を聞いていたいんだからさ。
Again, that unpleasant voice.
私を愚弄する気ですか? 要件を追いなさい。
母さんと遊びたい。
Well, that's just odd.
何を言っているんですか、あなたは。私はあなたとなど遊びたくありません。
親族会議で疲れたんだよ。持病の頭痛がだいぶ辛いんじゃないかい。
余計なお世話です。
Just the fact that he knew her headache was troubling her made a shiver run up her spine.
頭痛になるのは頭が凝ってるからだ。そのままベッドに入ったっていい夢は見られないよ。
だから余計なお世話だと言っています。切りますよ。
Natsuhi forcefully yelled that she was hanging up, and in actuality, she couldn't. After all, being at the receiving end of a phone call was much better than the alternative. If she hung up violently, this person might then call someone else. I wonder what this game entails.
あなたと遊ぶ気などありません。
母さんの名前はナッツィ。名前に季節を持ってるね。 いい名前だ。でも夏日だからって夏が好きとは限らない。母さんが本当に好きな季節は。
それをあなたに教えると思いますか？
教えてくれないなら俺が切るよ。いいのかい？
It was clearly a threat. It meant that if she forced him to hang up the phone, anything might happen. Humiliated that she was forced to give into a threat made by a man whose name she did not even know, she gave him the answer he wanted.
秋です。
Oh, hey, guess what season it is?
過ごしやすい季節だからです。他に特に理由はありません。これで満足ですか？
ああ、満足だ。やっぱり母さんの好きな季節は俺と同じだったよ。俺も秋が好きなんだ。
嘘つき、出任せを言うんじゃありません。
Surely this man would have done the same thing no matter which season I had said I liked. What is he after? What's so fun about making me uncomfortable like this?
嘘つきなんてひどいな。出任せなんかじゃない。俺は母さんが秋が好きだって確信してたよ。証拠を見せて。
証拠？
ああ、母さんの部屋に時計はあるかい？
時計？ええ、ありますが、それが何か。
In Natsuhi's room, there was a beautiful antique clock with an intricate design, Krause had bought it for her as a birthday present long ago. Sorry, guys.
0時7分ですね。
I cannot read.
もう眠いので、茶番を早く終わらせなさい。
その時計、持ち上げてみてよ。
どうしてです？
いちいち俺の言うことにお前は歯向かうのない。黙って言われた通りにすれば。
The tone of the man's voice suddenly went low, turning into a threat. It made his displeasure clear. At first, this man seemed to have a calm way of speaking, but on the inside, that wasn't the case at all. If she enraged this man even a little more, he would surely show his true nature right away.
あんたが19年前にしたことを俺はいつだってあんたの旦那や娘に話すことができる。
あなたが何の話をしているか知りませんが、夫や娘を巻き込まないでください。こうして私が電話を聞いていますから。
Once again, the man threatened her in a low voice as though warning her not to interrupt again. My head was filled with the pain from the headache, the sound of my beating heart, and the roar of the sea. I can't disobey him anymore. As the man had ordered, I lifted up the antique clock. There lay what appeared to be a single playing card. What is he trying to do, magic tricks with us now? Is it the warranty for the clock? Thinking this, she took it and turned it over. What was it? Well, come on, game.
どうしてこんな。
あんたの頭痛が少しは引いたなら嬉しいんだけど、嬉しいって
どうやってこれを、どうして、どうやって。
嬉しいですって言ってほしいな。
はあ？
殺しめ、よくも潔癖な奥様面ができるもんだぜ、ヘド。あんたの奥や娘にも打ち分けられた。嫌だ。黙っててほしいな。ああ、黙っててやるよ。ほら、嬉しいだろ。嬉しいだろ。
嬉しいです。嬉しいです。だからやめて。
What was it?
夫と娘に構わないで。何が要求ですか？お金ですか？いくらですか？
I mean, it's obviously something that could be used as blackmail. It's something that could get out there that would totally fuck things up for her family. Natsuhi had never had anything so hateful said to her in her entire life, so she suspected many times that she must be having some sort of bad dream. However, this definitely wasn't a dream.
あなたはまさかこの島にいるのですか？
ああ、約束しただろう。親族会議には出る。
不可能です。この台風では来られるわけもありません。
台風になる前から来てれば問題はないよ。それに台風
Oh shit.
エリカとかいう来客があったはずだ。
How many people are on this island right now? Her blood froze. Furuto Erika had supposedly been brought here by coincidence. If he knew that name, he would have to be very close by.
あなたはどこに？
あんたの紹介がないうちは誰の前にも現れないさ。安心しな。おっと、俺を探しても無駄だよ。あんたの屋敷は広い。電話だってそこいら中にあるしな。
No, so he's not calling from the outside. That's why I said allegedly earlier. He could be calling from an internal line.
あんただって俺に会いたくないだろう。それとも俺を見つけ出してみんなに紹介してくれるのか？ジェシカにも紹介してくれよ。一つ上の兄です。
やめて！ジェシカに構わないで！
怖がらせすぎたかな。今夜はこれで勘弁してやるよ。だが忘れるな。あんたは俺に逆らえないんだ。分かってるな、母さん。
I wonder what it was that she saw. What was under that clock?
今夜はこれで電話を切るが、明日の朝まで命令がある。
何ですか？
あんたは今夜もその部屋を出てはならないし、電話がかかってきても取ることも許さねえぜ。そして今すぐ明かりを消し、布団をかぶって寝ろ。そしていつもの時間に起床し。健康的な生活でいいな。母さんの体をいたわるなんて本当に俺は親孝行者だよ。
わかりました。今すぐ寝ます。部屋も出ません。電話も出ません。だから夫と娘には。
母さんが俺の命令を守る限り、あんたの秘密は守ってやるよ。命令を破るなよ。俺はもうお前のすぐ近くにいる。部屋の明かりが消えるかどうか、そして電話をしているかどうかさえ、俺さえもあんたの寝顔に季節することだってできるんだ。
Well, that's weird
守ります。
and scary.
約束は守ります。だからやめて。もうやめて。やめて。
As she screamed, Natsuhi took the card she had found under the clock and crushed it up into a little ball. It had a pattern on it like a tarot card, and also the kanji for autumn. Ah, I see. I see. Okay. I see what we have going on here. Not really, but things sure are getting a little weird. Oh, we're gonna step back in time once again. Are we gonna go back to the dining room? I hope we are. God damn, am I in suspense? All right, I gotta throw these two, recordings together and mash them up into one video since I had my little power outage deal happen here, and I'm curious to see if it picked up the other UPS, doing its thing. I'm just kind of curious to see if it also picked up my my flustered state, because I had no idea what the fuck was going on or what to do. Just lights off, monitor gone, it's like, huh? But yeah, very strange recording session this was. Thank you all for tuning in nonetheless. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.